Hey, you guys, welcome to the Heartbeat of Hope. Thank you for tuning in. And I felt like this week I was going to talk about just some personal struggles and kind of go more in depth about in between. Something has happened, you're in between, and you're waiting for the answer, waiting for the fix, whatever it may be. So you're in the in between. And I feel like I kind of talked about that in the first well in both podcasts that I did, and I just feel like the Lord just wanted me to dive in a little deeper. Also, it was I told you guys this is a roller coaster for me. If you guys are just watching this one for the first time, my son is in prison. He went in at 19. I was a single mom, and he was my world. And so now I'm a prison mom, and I didn't want to be. I didn't ask for it. I don't want to be. And I've told the Lord that, well, this past week I really had some events, and just when you have someone in prison, just dealing with that environment is tough in itself. Super tough for my son, super tough for me as a mom who wants to fix everything and go in and you know, help him out. But I can't. So I'm in a situation where I can't fix it. And so when things happen, sometimes I think I'm getting better as, times go. Sometimes it's a dive. I go down. So this has just been like a roller coaster with the Lord on trying to stay hopeful and positive and trying to keep myself in the right mindset so that I can be a good support for him. So I don't know what is going on with you. I know that everyone that's listening to this doesn't have someone in prison, but I feel like it's a good message for anyone that is in the in between that's waiting on something. You've had something happen, whether it's financial, medical, any of the things, some event has happened and you're in the in between, trying to remain hopeful and waiting for the fix or the end to come and listening to what the Lord says, and just trying to stay on good solid ground yourself. So that's really kind of what I was going to talk about. And I had to actually, on here, the one thing about me is, y'all know I'm walking this out myself, and that's why I'm sharing this with you guys, is because I'm living this with you. So I'm walking this out myself. It's not like I'm some know-it-all over here telling you what to do, because I'm figuring this out as I go, and I'm getting better at it. And then sometimes I'm not. But we're human. So progress is progress, right? So anyway, so I kind of made, if anyone knows me, my friends will say, I'm the how to girl. I want to know how to. Give me a list of what are steps? What are things that I can do to do this? And so I thought, well, I'll just kind of make a how to list. Because that was, I guess, one of my biggest things when I got, you know, I've been in church for a long time, but church didn't really tell me how to hear from God, how to do these things. A lot of the terms and the terminology that they say, I call Christianese, because I don't. It's terminology that is not really deeply explained, or you just kind of are supposed to figure it out yourself or kind of know what they're talking about. And so it took me. So now there's like trigger words for me that I'm like, there's some Christianese. And so I hope that I know that I probably speak some Christianese now, because now I've learned what some of these words are. But how to, that was my biggest thing. I would sit people down and be like, how do you do that? Can you give me a step by step on how you do that? And sometimes I could and sometimes I couldn't. And I want to be able to do that for you. And so I kind of made a list. So I'm going to be looking, and it's in my journal. Everything's in my journal. But the in between. So, in between, the number one, numero uno, is you got to keep your eyes on the Lord. You got to keep your eyes on Jesus. You got to stay prayed up, have your quiet time, journal, read your Bible, pray, whatever it is, having that peaceful, quiet time with Him where you're just sitting in complete silence and just sitting in his presence, whatever that is, that's numero uno. That's where you're going to get filled up. That's where you're going to get the words. And it says, keep your eyes on me. And I say, keep your ears there too. What are you listening to? I talked about that, how it steals out of your hope bucket on what you're listening to. And last week I was listening to some not so great stuff. I was listening to what I was hearing from the prison. I was listening to what I was hearing from my son. I was listening to wardens and guards and ombudsmen and all these, and if you've ever dealt with prison staff, they're not always friendly and they're not always for you. And sometimes you think they're for you, and they'll actually go do something that's hurtful. So I've learned that by experience. So I'm very careful about talking to them. Anyway, I was listening to that kind of stuff, and it really just threw me, into it took a big old chunk right out of my hope bucket, and was like, I can't get him any help. I can't do anything. And you're right, I can't. So that's the other thing is, it's not my job, and this is not my story. This end of it is my story. My son's is his story. And the Lord is in there. He has him. He's working on him, and he's working on the whole situation. And so that's the other thing is I have to lay him down at Jesus's feet all the time. When and it's repeated. So whatever it is that you need to lay down for the Lord, you may have to lay it down over and over again. And don't beat yourself up if you do. We pick things up we want to fix, especially as parents. We want to fix things. We want our kids to be happy. We want our kids to be, well-grown adults and be healthy adults. And so we want to go in there and get our hands in there and fix it. And, in this situation, for sure, I cannot. And the more I try, the worse it gets. So I have to lay him down. And when I say lay him down, I literally just get there and I get in prayer and I say, Jesus, I'm just here. I'm going to lay him down. I'm going to take my hands off. I trust you, and I give the control back to you. I give it back to you. So I say that. And then I try to walk that out, And I've told my son, I can't fix this for you. As painful as that is to say, I can't fix this for you. This is what I can do, and this is what you can do. And other than that, we're just at the mercy. So eyes on Jesus, ears on Jesus, and lay whatever it is down at the feet of Jesus and let him pick it up. We aren't made to carry all this. I'm not made to carry all this prison mom stuff. I'm not. He did tell me I'm equipped for it and that he chose me to be my son's mom, but that doesn't mean I got to carry all that stuff. So the other one was, next one was to speak truth. Speak truth to your situation. I don't mean reality. I mean truth, like truth from the Lord. If you have testimonies of people that have been healed or had financial miracles, or people that were changed and let out of prison early that match your situation, testimonies. Speak truth. God, do it again. Listen to those and don't try not to look at what is going on in the natural, because sometimes what's going on in the natural is not what's going on in the spiritual. It's, moving and shifting and changing and things are going on. So, just for an instance, my son just got yanked up out of a place where he had become comfortable and was, you know, safe, new guys, and had kind of settled into a routine, and plucked out over a situation and put in a more dangerous situation with higher category of inmates. And, that was scary. He was scared. I was scared. We don't know how long he's going to be in that situation. We knew it was not the way that it came about was unfair. It was unfair, and it was somebody that just wanted to show some power. So, the only thing I can do is speak truth to him that, We don't know how long you're going to be there. You may get in there and find out this is actually a better place for you to be. Just because what we've heard about this unit on Facebook or through other people or whatever doesn't mean. So just don't look at what people are saying, what they're doing. And now he's chill. He's fine. He's actually knows some people there and he's acclimated already, and it happened very quickly. But at the beginning, we were looking at all these horrible things, and I'm like, well, maybe this is could be God moving him to where He wants him to be. So I just can't look at all that. So just speak truth. If you have words from the Lord, like I do, I have to go back and pull them out of my journal, and or you have words that come to you, like I had one the other day. My pastor at the church I'm going to right now told a story, and it really touched me, and I held on to it. But I had heard several times that my son was a Joseph, and Joseph, was sold into slavery, went to prison, and he ended up in the palace. Did his path have to include prison? No, it did not. He did not humble himself when he came and started bragging to his family about how they're going to bow down to him someday, and he had this dream and da 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 da. And, he didn't humble himself, and therefore he ended up in slavery and onto prison. But it didn't have to go that way. So I'm like, all right, but he got to the palace. He would have gotten to the palace anyway. There were several paths to the palace, and God knows that. There's several paths that can be gone, that can be traveled to get to that place, that calling, that destination, that purpose. So I'm like, although I knew that I did not want my son to have that kind of path to his palace, to his calling, but he's there, and I know that he will get to what his calling is. Do I know what his calling is? No, but I can start to see things emerge, skills that he's learning or ways that he's changing, and just the people and the atmosphere he creates there. I can start to see that there are things. So just start looking for things like that. Look for truth in the situation. If you can't find it, ask Jesus. Get your pen out, get your journal, and say, what is the truth in this situation? We're bankrupt and we don't have enough money to pay the bills. What is the truth in this situation? What are you doing? Am I not learning something? Am I not, is there something that I'm missing? Is there something else I should be doing? Just get in there and talk to Jesus and get some truth. And then I wrote, speak truth again. Speak truth again. Also, I have to speak truth to my son. I speak truth to the situation. I tell him, and I'm trying to teach him, if you would have humbled yourself in some of these situations, some of this stuff would not happen to you. And he doesn't receive that well sometimes, but I think he's starting to realize that there might be some truth to that, and he doesn't get so defensive and he thinks about it. And so, speak truth if it has to be truth to other people, tough love, just continue to speak truth to yourself and to others. Friends. Oh man, friends. I've had a lot of discussion lately, and everything I study seems to be about sitting in the mud with people. You know, I have so many friends, and Jesus gave me a vision the other day that I was in the mud with my son, and I had all these other people in the mud with me. And I have people that come and get in the mud and then they leave, or there's people that just stay in the mud with us. There's people that are in the mud with just me. When I have these situations, and you just get all sticky and covered with it, just in your mess with you, people that will get in your mess with you, and they are not scared of it, and they're not trying to control things or get anything out of it. They're just there in the mud with you to be with you. They don't care if they're getting dirty. They just are happy to be there. That's love. They just want to be there and love you in the situation that you're in, and get in the mud with you, and that is critical to be able to wait in this in between area, to have people that when you're so tired, they hold your arms up. They get in that mud. So we were talking about the mud, and I have a couple of friends that I call them gold diggers. They're gold diggers in a good way. And they will get in that mud with me and they will dig around in that mud and they will pull out gold nuggets. And these gold nuggets are precious to me. You know, we put them off. I write them in the journal, whatever they're hopeful words, they're prophecies, they're positive words, they're connecting dots I can't connect. But they dig in there and they don't just, you know, there's that whole saying with misery loves company. And I think I used to be like that, where it's like, I want somebody to come in and be miserable with me. You know, back when I was in a victim mentality, like sit in here and let's just wallow in this mud together like a bunch of pigs. Let's just wallow in it and just love it. Let's just love the mud. And I don't want those friends anymore. If you want to come in and be miserable, I don't want to be miserable. I may have a tough situation, but I don't want to be miserable. I want to hear some truth. I want you to give me some hope, shine the light on things, and let's just, you know, turn this around and see, because God always works things out for the, he always works it out for the good. He's always doing something. He's always behind the curtain where we can't see, working on something. And so I may be looking at one situation, but God is working. He's back there. He's behind the curtain. He showed me a whole vision of the Wizard of Oz, if y'all remember the old Wizard of Oz. And they come into Oz and they got the great, powerful Oz up on the screen with the big green, you know, the hat, you know. And there's the guy back there, his curtain, he gets exposed and he's back there behind the curtain and he's doing all this working, and he doesn't know that they can see. And he's, you know, he's been found out. That's not God, but he just showed me that. Like, he's back behind that curtain and he is working. And I don't know that he's back there. I'm sleeping, I'm functioning, I'm doing my thing, but he is constantly working. He does not sleep and he does not leave the job. So just know that whatever is going on, he always is working. And he's always working things out for you, for your good. And it may not look like that now, but he is. So that's something you can hang on to. But you want to get these gold diggers. So invite some gold diggers. If you do not have gold diggers, I suggest you come out of isolation and you talk to some people and tell your story, and the gold diggers will start. You'll find them. You'll hear them. They will start automatically pulling out gold nuggets, full things that just lift your spirit. You know, those are gold diggers. And you need some of those in the mud with you. He also reminded me about this time when I went to the spa. So I went to the spa. I used to live in Denver, and went to the spa up with a friend of mine, and we got this mud bath, and we were up there just having the best time, soaking in this mud. It's in every crack and crevice. It's in our hair. It's all over, and we're just like, we're gonna look 10 years younger when we get out of here, and you know, we're just doing this whole thing. And we go to the showers and we are ate up with bites all over our body. I mean, head to toe. I had bites all over my face. They were everywhere. It was just head to toe, all the way down. And they were parasites that were in the mud. And Jesus said there's also parasites in the mud. So you want the gold diggers and you don't want the people that are going to pull out the parasites, and you don't want to pull the parasites out, and you don't want to get all of that stuff that's going to take you down an ugly road. And, you know, I unfortunately grabbed onto a few of those parasites last week, and it kept me in a funk for a couple of days, just dealing with, you know, the stuff that was going on, and had to call up my gold diggers and talk to them and get me, and talk to Jesus and get all this back, get me back on solid ground. So you don't want misery loves company mentality. And I did read this comment. It was written in a devotional that I was looking at this week, and it just really stood out to me. But it was, entrusting our lives to Him binds the enemy's hold on our lives, and it claims the victory for Christ. So trusting Him binds up the enemy's hold, and it claims the victory for Christ. So if you trust him and you've laid this thing down to the Lord, and, you know, that binds the enemy up for you. And that just opens it up to the Lord, to whatever he wants to do, whatever he's going to do. So just trust him. The last thing is purpose to the pain. I still am trying to figure out the purpose to the pain. And I know that my son's pathway to the palace has now included prison, even though it did not have to be. But my purpose, my role in this, I have to separate ourselves, which has been hard to do because it seems like he just kind of took me along this ride with him. Is to separate it. He's got his story, I have my story. That's why I don't talk about what he did or anything like that. That's for him to talk when he comes out to give his testimony. This is just my processing and my purpose to my pain. But if you have a purpose in your pain and there's a vision, you can really deal with the pain a lot better. If I know, so I was asking for this the other day and I was like, Lord, I'm really struggling this week with all these things that have gone on. I've started this podcast and talking about how to hope and, do all these things. I even said, I was like, if this is causing, things to be worse, then I'll stop doing the podcast because I don't, this has all gotten to be too much, and I don't want to be a prison mom. I told him that. I don't want to be a prison mom. I didn't ask for this. I didn't ask for this at all. I didn't do anything. I didn't commit any crime. I didn't do anything. And so I was wallowing. I was wallowing in the mud. And then he started talking to me and I wrote it all in my journal and he's like, I chose you to be his mom. He knew all the paths that could possibly have been taken, that he chose me for this job, for this duty. So whatever you're in, he chose you for that. If he chose you for that, he equipped you for it. So he's equipped me to be this, for this path, he went on this path. So that means he's equipped me for this path. And so my role is to speak the truth, keep him uplifted, keep myself uplifted, talk about the Lord, talk about what he's doing, keep him in hope. Trying to keep him just looking forward and not at the daunting amount of time that he's got to do and anything else, but just in the moment, day by day, doing those kind of things. So, whatever you're going through, do you have a vision for it? Do you have a purpose for it? Because it's not just, yes, the enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy, and there are things that God allows, but he's still there. He didn't go nowhere. He's still there. He's still in it. He's taking it. He's doing something with it. Find out that vision. Find out that purpose, so that your pain, you at least know why and where you're going with it. So that you can walk out of that mud. You're not going to be in the mud forever. You're not going to be in the mud forever. I know I'm not going to be in this mud pile forever. Um, so just know that you will stand up. I know the Lord told me sometimes I'll be sitting in the mud. Sometimes I'll be wallowing in the mud. Sometimes I'll be standing up tall and proud and I'll barely have any mud on my shoes. And so there is going to be, levels to it, I guess. But those times when you're deep in the mud, that's when you got to get your people. You get your gold diggers and you really look to Jesus and what is he talking and what is my purpose, and start asking some questions. You don't have to just sit there and wallow. So, all right, you guys can send me, that was all I wrote down for my how-to. And if you guys have any questions or anything, you can email them to me to theheartbeatofhope@gmail.com. I also did create a community here on YouTube. If there's comments or questions there or suggestions of what you guys want to hear, or I should be having testimonies soon. Just trying to get some of the people scheduled. And, if there's something you'd like to hear, let me know. All right, and I just want to pray over you. Jesus, everyone that is listening today, Lord, I pray they are somewhere in an in between an event that's happened and to the point where they would walk out of that mud pile. So they're in between right now and they're in the mud pile. And so, Lord, I just ask you to send them people that are gold diggers that will help them dig those gold nuggets out of the mud, that they won't sit in there with someone that's going to, love misery and wallow with them and dig out, parasites. But we'll reach in there and get those gold nuggets that are precious and that we hold on to, Lord. Send them and surround them with those people, Lord. And I also ask you to give them vision. Give them a vision or a purpose or something to keep them, moving towards moving out of the pit. Why are we in this pit, and how are we going to get out of this pit? And when you have that, and what's going on, then it gives your pain a purpose. And so, Lord, I just pray that you reveal that to them, that this is not just some random horrible event, that you are still working, and that I pray that you show them there are things behind the curtain that you are doing, and we don't see you. We don't even know you're back there behind that curtain, and you are working. You never stop working, and it's always for our good. So there is something in there, no matter what event it is, there is something in there that is a gold nugget, and that you're working, and it's not just pain. It's not all just pain. So, Lord, I pray that for them. I pray that you just infuse them with hope, light up their night for them. And I thank you for them. In your precious name, Jesus. Amen. All right, so you guys have a good week, and I will post something else. I'm not sure what it's going to be. It's always a surprise. I kind of find out in the middle of the week what I'm going to post. So we'll see you next week. Thank you.